Level 1. The idea. It's a Tuesday, 11 at night. You are supposed to be asleep because you have a meeting at 9 that you have already mentally attended twice. Instead, you are sketching a product on the back of an electricity bill because the Notes app felt too permanent. Paper you can throw away. Paper is deniable. You tell yourself you are just exploring. You tell yourself it's an interesting thought experiment. You tell yourself you'll look at it again at the weekend and it will probably seem stupid in daylight. None of that is true, and some part of you already knows it, because you don't sketch things on the back of an electricity bill at 11 at night about ideas you intend to forget. Level 2. The secret. For 3 weeks, you tell absolutely nobody. You build in the hours nobody is watching. 5 in the morning, before anyone is awake. Midnight, after everyone has gone to bed. You get very good at looking like a person who slept. You keep the folder on your personal laptop, in a directory with a boring name, because there is something in you that isn't ready to say the words out loud yet. Your friends notice you've gone quiet. You have. You're just quiet somewhere else. You're having the most intense conversation of your life. And it's entirely with yourself, and it's happening at 4 in the morning in the blue light of a screen. Level 3. The resignation. You write the email in 4 minutes. Then you stare at it for 9 days. You reread it on the train. You reread it in the toilet at work. You edit the third sentence 11 times, as if the phrasing is the thing standing between you and sending it, which it is not. The thing standing between you and sending it is that once it's sent, the person you've been for the last 6 years is over. Your manager says you're making a mistake, and says it kindly, which is worse. Your mother asks about health insurance. A colleague you barely know says she wishes she had the guts, and you think about that sentence for the next 2 years. You send it anyway. Walking out of that building on your last day is the last time you will feel light for about 18 months. Level 4. The first Monday, 9 in the morning. Nobody's expecting you anywhere. This is what you wanted. This is the entire thing you sacrificed a salary for. And it is genuinely terrifying, in a way that nothing has prepared you for, because for the first time in your adult life there is no structure holding the day together except the structure you invent. You make a list. The list has 19 items on it. 4 of them are real, and 15 of them are ways of feeling productive without risking anything. By 6 in the evening, you have redesigned the logo. You will look back on this day with enormous affection and considerable embarrassment. Level 5. The build. Now there is no schedule, so every hour is a work hour, and simultaneously none of them are. You learn things you never wanted to learn. Company registration, tax thresholds, terms of service, how to write a privacy policy, how to make a landing page look like a company instead of a hobby, which turns out to be almost entirely about spacing and one good photograph. You work in the way that only unsupervised people work. 14 hours on a Saturday. Nothing on a Wednesday because you couldn't face it. Nobody knows either of those things happened. And somewhere in the middle of it, the thing stops being a document and starts being a product that a stranger could theoretically use, and you sit and look at it and feel briefly, enormously proud. Level 6. The launch. You pick a date. You tell yourself the date is arbitrary, and then you become completely unable to sleep the night before it. You post it. Everywhere. The forums, the communities, the group chats, the one person you know with an audience. You write the announcement in a voice that is not quite yours, because you have read enough of these to know roughly what they're supposed to sound like. And then you sit and watch the analytics page. 40 visitors. 9 of them are you. 2 of them are your mother, on different devices. Nobody is coming. Not because it's bad, because nobody knows it exists. And you have just discovered that building the thing and getting anyone to care about the thing are 2 entirely separate jobs, and you have only done one of them. Level 7. The first user. 4 days later at 2 in the afternoon, someone you have never met signs up. Not a friend. not a friend of a friend. A stranger, from a city you've never been to, who found it somehow, and who typed in an email address and made an account. You refresh the dashboard 11 times to check it's real. You check the email domain to make sure it's not a bot. You watch their session like a nature documentary, and when they use the feature that took you 3 weeks to build, you say something out loud in an empty room. You take a screenshot. You still have that screenshot. You will have it in 10 years. Level 8. The silence. Then nothing. Not failure. Nothing. Days of it. The graph flatlines into a horizontal line so straight, it looks like a design decision. And here is where the dangerous thing happens. You start redesigning the homepage. You refactor code nobody is running. You spend a full day on the onboarding flow for the users you do not have. You do all of it because it feels like work and it costs you nothing emotionally. Talking to customers costs you something. Talking to customers means finding out. So you build, and you polish, and you avoid, and you tell yourself you're being productive. Everybody does this. Nobody films it. Level 9. The doubt. Month 7. Your former colleagues are getting promoted. One of them posts about it, and you are happy for them in a way that takes a genuine act of will. Your savings account has a number in it that you now know by heart, and you calculate against it constantly in supermarkets and taxis at 3 in the morning. Someone at a party asks how it's going, and you hear yourself say the word great in a voice you don't recognize. Then you go home and sit in the car outside your flat for 20 minutes without turning the engine off. This is the level where most people stop, not dramatically. They just get a very reasonable offer from a very good company at exactly the moment they are most tired. Level 10. The conversations. So, finally, out of desperation rather than wisdom, you do the thing you've been avoiding for 4 months. You email every single person who ever signed up. 31 of them. You ask for 15 minutes. 9 say yes. And in those 9 conversations, you learn more than in the previous 7 months combined. You learn that the feature you're proudest of is the one nobody uses. You learn that 2 of them are using it for something you never designed it for. You learn that the thing they'd actually pay for is a thing you built in an afternoon as an afterthought. It is humbling, and it is clarifying, and you will never again go 4 months without doing this. Level 11. The first payment. £29. From a stranger. For something that did not exist before you decided it should. A number appears in an account, and it represents a person somewhere deciding that what you made is worth more to them than the money was. It doesn't fix the runway. It doesn't cover a week of rent. It changes precisely nothing about your financial position. And it changes everything because a thing you were only guessing at has just been confirmed by reality. And you will spend the rest of your career chasing that specific feeling. Level 12. The decision. Month 12. You sit down and do the honest arithmetic, the version you wouldn't show an investor. The numbers are small, the growth is real but slow. The offer from your old industry is still quietly on the table. And you decide to keep going. Not because you are certain. You are not certain about a single thing. You keep going because stopping now means the story ends here, at the least interesting possible point, and because you have read enough of these to know that every founder you admire has a year that looked exactly like this one, and they simply do not talk about it. Year 1 does not make you a founder. Surviving year 1 does.